Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to Uphill, and today we will be looking at 10 Harry Potter casts and their favorite lines from the Harry Potter series. Make sure you watch till the end guys, to find out if you share a favorite line with some of your faves from the movie. Before we begin, I just want to mention that I'll be giving away a $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to win is hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and comment the hidden word somewhere in the video. Number 10. Professor Phileas Flitwick. We begin our list with the eccentric head of Ravenclaw House, Professor Phileas Flitwick. Speaking of eccentrics, Professor Phileas is often underestimated by people because he's really tiny and he's got a squeaky voice, but he's the best and most knowledgeable charms master alive in the wizarding world. Born in 1958, the Charms Master was a part goblin wizard who attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry and was sorted into Ravenclaw House. Being an intelligent young man and a model student, during the First and Second Wizarding Wars, Flitwick opposed Lord Voldemort. In 1995, he also opposed Dolores Umbridge, the High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, and in 1997 fought at the Battle of the Astronomy Tower, after which he attended the funeral of Albus Dumbledore. He also protected the students from the Carrows. When asked which was his favorite line in the Harry Potter series, the professor revealed that it was the levitation spell that Ron Weasley had some trouble mastering in his first year at Hogwarts, Wingardium Leviosa, which was a charm used to make objects fly or levitate.
It was probably one of the first lines that I uttered in the whole series of films, way back in number one, as Professor Flitwick. Wingardium Leviosa, I think for me would be the one, and it's the one everyone wants me to do when I meet them.
Number 9. Lucius Malfoy. There are some pretty nasty characters in the Harry Potter books and movies. Lord Voldemort is a mass murderer intent on wiping out Muggle-borns. Bellatrix Lestrange is happy to follow out the Dark Lord's orders no matter how bad they are. And Draco Malfoy is a bully who laps up the chance to torment anybody who lives at Hogwarts. Draco's father Lucius is another, however, and spends his time in the series meddling in Harry's affairs. Apparently, Jason Isaacs, the actor who played Malfoy, felt he should add something to the end of his conversation with Mr. Potter. Without warning, he says, "Well, let's hope Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day." And without missing a beat, Daniel Radcliffe squared his shoulders and replied to him, "Okay." So not an iconic line, but Radcliffe was like 12 when this was shot, and Jason said the line was his favorite in the Harry Potter movies.
My favourite line is actually one of Daniel's, because my first day's work, one of my first shots was walking away from Dumbledore's desk, and I said to Chris Columbus, "Oh, I'd really love an exit line." And he said, "Well, let's go again, we'll shoot something and just make something up." And we didn't tell Daniel, and who was only, waist high, and I turned round to him, unexpectedly to him, and I said, "Let us hope Mr. Potter will always be around to save the day." And he looked up at me and he puffed his chest out and he said, "Don't worry, I will be." Which is pretty impressive for a 12-year-old, and he's stayed that impressive ever since.
Number 8. Narcissa Malfoy. Narcissa certainly wasn't good. She fell in with a bad crowd. She was haughty, cold, and not afraid to be cruel. But she wasn't all bad either. Her love for Draco was very much her saving grace, and the things that saved Harry from Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest, no less. Regardless of Narcissa's more moral moments, she was a Malfoy through and through. Born into a pure bloodline, it's clear that Narcissa was brought up to believe in magic over Muggles. Like her husband Lucius, she clearly believed that Muggle-born wizards were inferior to pure-blood ones, even disowning her sister Andromeda for marrying one. Narcissa's greatest moment and the most loved line was when she chose to betray Voldemort in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, not knowing whether Draco was alive or dead. Narcissa chose to lie to the Dark Lord rather than risking losing her son. When Voldemort asked her to check if Harry was dead, and she realized he was, in fact, still breathing, Narcissa seized her opportunity, stood up, and said, "Dead."
I think my favourite line that I got to say, which I haven't seen yet, so I hope it's still
It
in,
might be cut.
is the moment that she stands up in the Forbidden Forest and says, "Dead."
Number 7. Draco Malfoy. As far as Harry Potter characters go, Draco Malfoy is up there with the worst. While he's not as cold as Lord Voldemort, lacks the craziness of Bellatrix Lestrange, and isn't as repulsive as Dolores Umbridge, the Slytherin student is still a pretty repulsive individual. He bullies just about everybody at Hogwarts and struts with an air of superiority, lording his vast wealth over those not as fortunate as himself. Lord Felton did a brilliant job at playing Draco in all 8 movies, and when asked which was his favorite line, he revealed that his signature running to daddy line, "My father will hear about this," was his pick.
I thoroughly enjoyed Draco's line when he's being carried away after being attacked by Buckbeak. "My father will hear about this." That's one of my favorites for sure.
Number 6. Lord Voldemort. Lord Voldemort is one of the biggest villains in pop culture history. Thanks to some terrific acting from Ralph Fiennes, J.K. Rowling really did set the bar for evil rather high. The Harry Potter movies did a brilliant job at bringing the Dark Lord to the big screen, as he's become somewhat iconic over the years. Ralph certainly deserves many plaudits for his performance throughout the movies. He joined a small selection of villains that transcend their iconography beyond their property, known in name and appearance to those who are not even fans of the franchise. The entire world of fiction has never seen a villain more powerful, more iconic, and more irredeemably evil than the Dark Lord himself. He who must not be named did not have any problems crushing anyone who crosses his path, except the child who lived, and for many, many years he tried and tried until he finally succeeded. With all that effort put into just being able to touch someone, you certainly were expecting a different line than the one he uttered after he finally was able to get his hands on Harry. Do you?
Well, the only line that I can remember is, "I can touch you now." That's my favorite line.
Number 5. Hermione Granger. As the only female in the core group of 3 in the Harry Potter series, Hermione Granger is a complex character indeed. She is brave, smart, and saves everyone's butt more than once, but she can also be a know-it-all and annoying. In the early films, she serves as a matronly figure to both Harry and Ron. She scolds them when they do wrong, and she inspires them to do better, often through her act of tough love. And after escaping being devoured by Fluffy, the giant 3-headed dog who aided in guarding the Philosopher's Stone, Hermione was not letting herself get killed, or worse, expelled, by her friends. And that line was her favorite.
My favorite line is, "I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled."
Number 4. Ron Weasley. Harry Potter and Ron Weasley are 2 of the most well-known and beloved characters in fiction. Through the Harry Potter books and movies, fans fell in love with them, watching their relationship grow from strangers and classmates to friends and family. Obviously, these 2 share some similar interests, traits, and hobbies, which strengthen their friendship even more. You hardly find one missing in on their various adventures and quests, which most times gets them into a lot of trouble, like the Fluffy scene previously mentioned. After Hermione gave them her esque tough love scolding, Grint disclosed that his line after Hermione's was also his favorite.
Actually, when you said that, I still remembered the line that I say after that. She needs to sort out her priorities.
Number 3. Molly Weasley. In the Harry Potter series, Molly Weasley was one of the most important presences in Harry's life. She gave him a family, a motherly presence, and love. To her, Harry wasn't the chosen one. He was a young boy who needed her protection, and she, being the remarkable woman that she was, readily gave it to him. Despite having a large family of her own and little means, she protected everyone with everything she had. In the Battle of Hogwarts, the Weasley family suffered a tragic and horrific blow. Trickster and twin Fred Weasley was killed as he fought against the dark arts, and if Molly Weasley couldn't be there for her son, she sure was going to protect her daughter from the assault of Bellatrix. In a line many fans find badass and unforgettable, Mrs. Weasley told her opponent, "Not my daughter, you bitch," before proceeding to prevail against Bellatrix. Well, it turns out that line was also Molly's favorite.
My favourite one has got to be, "Not my daughter, you bitch." So incongruous. I couldn't believe Mrs. Weasley said it when I read it. I couldn't believe it, so it's fabulous to see.
Number 2. Rubeus Hagrid. Hagrid and Harry Potter are considered one of the most important friendships in the Harry Potter franchise. Hagrid is one of the first people to introduce Harry to the magical world and is consistently there for him throughout. Despite how beloved he is, sometimes Hagrid gives some flat-out terrible advice, especially to Harry. There are times when he definitely does know what he is talking about, like when he was reminding Harry about who he was. Turns out that is his favorite line.
It's my favorite was in Diagon Alley in the first one, saying, "You're Harry Potter. You're the one who got away from you know who."
Number 1. Fred and George Weasley. In Harry Potter, there are a few great duos. Harry and Ron Weasley are up there, Luna Lovegood and Neville Longbottom are decent as well, and James Potter and Sirius Black also make the cut, despite the former barely appearing. But none come close to comedy kings Fred and George Weasley, with the pair both hugely popular among fans. The twins were played by James and Oliver Phelps during the blockbusters, and the pair did a good job of bringing the characters to life. Fred picked a line from the station scene where he and George played pranks on their mum as his best line, while George picked the Deathly Hallows scene where he interrupted Harry and Ginny's private time.
Be in the first movie when I sounded like I'd just swallowed a load of helium and said, "Honestly, woman, you call yourself our mother." So I remember being really excited because if I actually said that to my mum, I'd probably be ducking for a smack. So
I think my favourite line would be in Deathly Hallows Part 1 when Harry and Ginny have just kissing and George creeps right behind them and just goes, "Morning." It's probably the most uncomfortable moment I think for Harry to go through.
Which of these scenes was your favorite? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.